Hello, I'm Neil Quigley and welcome to my podcast. 1 in 5 MPs still employ a member of their family. I hope it was a fairly extensive application and interview process before they managed to get these jobs. None of these obviously watch Steptoe and Son as kids because it really does not work out for either party. Although that said, if you are the child of a politician, you could be picking up some decent pocket money. Did you know that MP Jacob Rees-Mogg's use of 29-letter flocky knocky hillification in 2012 remains the longest recorded word used in Parliament, although let's just be thankful it's not also one of his children's names. Why do we still need UKIP when by the time the next election comes around we'll probably be an independent United Kingdom? If that isn't an oxymoron. Anthony Scaramucci only lasted 10 days as the communications director to President Trump. I've known work experience placements last longer than that. I mean, he only just lasted longer than a course of antibiotics. So Donald Trump weighed in to help his son with a statement on his meeting with the Russians. His press people say this is totally normal for a father to do. I mean, yes, if the son in question is say 18, but maybe not when they're 39. This whole America-Russian thing is playing out a bit like a Star Wars film, but I can't work out who is the Empire and who is the Rebel Alliance. But I am worried it will turn out that Putin is really Jared Kushner's father. Reports have surfaced that somebody may be trying to fix the Venezuelan elections. Surely Russia can have no interest in this one unless Putin has got a big international political accumulator bet on. Prince Philip has carried out his final official engagement wearing a bowler hat and a brown jacket, looking like John Cleese's character from that famous Frost Show sketch with the two Ronnies. I think it's a great shame, as it now takes a lot of the fun and jeopardy out of all royal visits. I would have paid good money to see how he would have greeted Donald Trump in person. It was the Ride London event in London last weekend. I would have loved to have taken part by ordering one of those rickshaws they have in the capital, just to see how quickly they can really move in comparison to proper cyclists. Telsa have just released their cheapest ever electric car. I think I'm going to struggle with them, as the last time I drove an electric car, I was driving it into all the other vehicles and involved in lots of crashes. Mind you, that was at the fair and I was on the bumper cars. The AA have fired their chief executive. They'll replace him within an hour and probably install a new battery just to be on the safe side. As the fashion label Rare goes bust, I wonder if this may become more common when we leave the EU. British Gas is set to raise its electricity prices, which you could argue is probably what would happen if you bought your apples from a banana seller. Supermarket Asda has been hit by a drop in profits, probably because people currently have a little bit less in their back pockets. Drinking moderately reduces the risk of diabetes. Sounds good when you first hear it, but who has ever enjoyed doing things in moderation? No one has ever organised a night out with a sentence, "Do you fancy coming out for a moderate amount of drinks tonight?" Experts are saying school children should be taught to avoid being sucked into gangs, but nearly every kid's cartoon film that I've ever seen involves a gang of sorts, so we're teaching them the opposite already as toddlers. A group of hackers claim to have stolen the script for a forthcoming Game of Thrones episode, which is surely just the equivalent of somebody reading the book before seeing the film. In effect, the script for the first Harry Potter film was released around 5 years before it was made. Plus, which Game of Thrones fans would be desperate to see future scripts? You can't see the breasts on that. Mary Berry is going to host a new cookery competition on the BBC called Britain's Best Cook. I think this should be a new continuous show for every occupation in the country. Britain's best parking warden, Britain's best window cleaner, or Britain's best lighthouse keeper. Tom Hiddleston is set to show us his Hamlet. No, not a small village he's bought with his Hollywood wages, but his take on a Shakespearean classic. Celebrity Big Brother is back, and I must confess it's the first time that the housemates include someone I've seen in a petrol station or bumped into at the local supermarket. But as Sarah Harding lives near me, it's not that surprising, I guess. As human skulls and aircraft engined into World War II explosives were found while they were making an extra 4-mile wide channel in Portsmouth for the Navy's new aircraft carrier, I think they missed out on doing an underwater time team special, with the twist being they'd have actually found something. PSG are going to pay almost £200 million for Neymar. With modern science now, you could probably just clone Ronaldo for the same price. Arsenal owner Stan Kroenke is coming under fire over his American Blood Sports channel. Well, I mean, they are called the Gunners. Roma legend Totti's shirt is being launched into space, where it's likely to bump into Chris Waddle's penalty from Italia 90. This is brilliant. A group of 7 Catholic priests were initially turned away from a pub in Cardiff as staff thought they were a stag do in fancy dress, which are banned from the place. When they realised they were actually men of the church, they gave them all a free drink. So if I ever do have a stag do, I now know what costumes I'm suggesting. That's it. Thanks very much for listening. I'll speak to you next week. Have fun.